I'm Nathan Tabor with Handling Life. This podcast is about how you, how I, and how others should handle the things that come into our lives. It's about how I've failed at handling the things that have come into my life. It's also about how I've succeeded at some of the things that have come into my life. The topic today that I want to talk about is, I don't like my job. How many of you have heard someone say that? How many of you have said that? How many are currently saying that? I've said it before, and I've heard lots of other people say it. You know, you hear things like, I don't like the people I work with. I don't like the money that I make, or the lack thereof. I don't like the clientele. I don't like the customers. I don't, and then I don't, and I don't, and I don't, and I don't. There's all these things that you hear, and you might be saying them. So if you're saying them, you're the person I want to talk to today. And if you're hearing someone saying it, take some of this information and gently work it into conversation with someone. Don't whack them over the head. Don't shove it down their throat, because that won't help. So if you're in that situation, I don't like my job. Well, I've been there. In the past, when I was growing up, it was 18, 19, 20. I helped my dad painting during the summer when it was hot outside. I didn't like that job. Currently today, I have clients that I don't have to work with, but I do work with because I have to make money. I have to pay my bills. But I don't like how they do things. I don't like how they talk at times. There's things about them that I don't like, and it bothers me. And so at times I struggle with, I don't like doing this. I don't see the benefit of it. And, when that happens, there's really three things that we can do about it. And there's three things that you can do about it. First is you can quit. Country song, right? Take this job and shove it. I'm out of here. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And you quit. You're going to have to decide, are you quitting because of, a bad attitude? Are you quitting because there's a better opportunity? Or are you, quitting because you're taking your ball and you're going home because you just don't want to do this? That's not really a good reason, but that's one of your options. The second option is just to have a bad attitude. Complain about things all the time, and everything is wrong, and everything is bad, and how horrible everyone else is, right? We know that type of person. You just look like you're sucking on lemons all the time. Nothing's ever right. And that's how you go about your day. That's how you wake up in the morning. That's how you go through the day. It's how you treat people. Then you wonder why people treat you back that way, but it's their fault, not yours. And then you go to bed that way. So you can just stay that way. The third option that I want to talk with you about, and this is really a challenge, and it's something that I have to work on internally on myself quite often, is this. God has laid out for us how we're to do our work. He's laid out to us that we're to be thankful for what He has given us, that we are to be thankful for Him blessing us. When I started looking at my life and what was going on and what I was doing and who I was doing it for, if I'm only doing it for money, or I'm only doing it for title, or I'm only doing it for me, for a time period it's going to work, but then it's not. And if those are the only reasons that I'm doing it are for those things, then I'm going to start complaining, and then I don't like the job, and I don't want to do it, and all those things come about. But if we look at it from the perspective of, when I look at it from the perspective of, well, this is what God has brought into my life. What does He want me to learn here? Who can I influence? Who can I show the love of Christ to? Who can I share the gospel with? And then really, the kicker here, the one that just lays it out and says, this is how we're supposed to do this. So when that mentality comes in, I don't like my job, comes in, I want you to write this verse down. Put it on your phone, scribble it out and put it in your purse or your wallet. Do something with it. And it's Colossians 3:23-24. It says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. Wow, if that doesn't just kick me right in the teeth, right? I don't like my job. Colossians says, that's not the point of this. It's not whether you like something or not. If you don't like where you are you where you're supposed to be with God? Because if you are walking in God's will and you're somewhere you don't like, then you have to default to this and say, I don't really like what I'm going through, but I'm going to do it as unto God. Because if you don't, then it won't be long before you're not where God wants you in your life, because you can't be grumpy. We can't be Mr. or Mrs. Grumpy and expect to continue to be in God's will for our life. If you're not where God wants you to be, if you're not developing your relationship and striving to serve Him, you might be in a job that you might not find, this peace or this enjoyment or this like. But you still, per Colossians, are supposed to do it as unto the Lord. So either way, wherever you want to look from it. Obviously, if you're not where God wants you to be, maybe if you were, you would have a job that you'd like. But work is hard. Going to work for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week and making money and then watching it go back out of your checking account, there's no fun in that. So even if we're in the perfect will of where God wants us to be, we still have to work. And that normally is not a fun task. And so this thought can creep in as, I don't like this job. I don't like what I do. I don't like the people I work with. And God says right here, whatever you do, do it as unto me. Do it as unto God. So my challenge to you is, if you don't like what you're doing, this is the solution to your problem. Don't do it for you. Don't do it for someone else. Change your mentality and do your work, do your job as unto God, and see how your perception, how your thought process, and how your attitude changes. It changed my perception of what I do and how I do it and how I treat others. And at times, it still sneaks up on me. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that. But I have to fall back to this. Do it as unto the Lord. If you still can't find joy in that, you can't find something that you like about it, and you can't do this, then really look at, are you where God wants you to be? I'm Nathan Tabor with Handling Life. I hope you'll visit my website, handlinglife.org, and I hope you'll share this information with others as well.